All right, so welcome to the corridor. My name is Angel Leon, your host, and today's guest. She's not a tech startup founder. She's not an investor, but she belongs in this show because her story is exactly what this podcast is about. Is about betting on yourself when the system was not built for you, grinding through those no's and showing up in rooms where nobody looks like you. Maite, she's from Uruguay. She's a racing driver who went from karting in South America to you're about to compete right in the F1 Academy in Europe in a few years, and she's just getting started. So, Maite, welcome to the corridor.
Hello, thank you so much for the opportunity in this interview, and hello to everyone that is watching also. I'm so excited to be here.
Thank you, Maite. So, take us back to the beginnings of things. You spent 10, 12 years like that, right? Trying to convince your parents to let you race. And, most kids that before that would have given up already. And you kept going. So what finally got them to say yes?
It was like for people to ask me, like, is your family from motorsport? I will say yes. They're like big motorsport people. My dad was a rally driver, and my brother, well, he raced Formula BMW. He did the F1 minority test, champ car back then. And when I started wanting to race, doing what they do at the age of 8 years old, I found my first barrier in life, and that was my parents who told me, "Nope, you're not gonna race. You're young," and I feel that on one side they were protecting me of the sport, being like a female driver, and also I was the little girl of the family, and maybe I had like I showed some interest in my studies, being a scientist and getting into business, that they said, okay, no, maybe we need to focus her on that and not let like motorsport interfere on that. Funny thing is that I tried so many years, like you said, 10 years for them to let me drive. I those years, like my teenage years, I spent studying and showing good grades for them to really understand that this wasn't just a thing of a little girl who wanted to be part of the family. So being part of the family to be like in cars and racing and this and that. No, that she wanted because she liked cars. I didn't see any female representation, so I didn't push as much to race. I just wanted to get in a karting back then when you're little and get some laps around. And then when I started seeing more representation and studying more and looking for your path into life, I understood that I need a chance. I need a chance. And the question that you asked me, did I get them to let me? First of all, I asked why my brother can do it and I cannot. That was my first question, which then
Okay.
they look at each other and they said, we cannot push it anymore. Because there were so many years of me, like I told you, bringing good grades, staying for parties, just because to show them that this wasn't just a hobby for me. I wanted to try one, and I knew that I needed to prove them that I know the value of money and how expensive this sport is, and how demanding physically and mentally to be prepared to drive a car. And that's when they said yes. But that was at the age of 17, which you were saying. People, guys start with 5 to 8 years old, sometimes even earlier than that, into karting. So to think about a professional who wants to become at the age of 7, who is starting at the age of 17, it's almost impossible. And that was how everything started.
Yeah, and this is back in Uruguay where you started this, and what does that look like over there in terms of this scene, right, of racing and things like that? Is that something common, right? What does that look like?
Mm, for me, it's common because I come from a motorsport family, so I knew like people from there, my brother too. But it's not that common, and even less a girl, um That's when I used to go to the race weekends with my family, and I didn't see any females drivers. So it was like just maybe for fun. I haven't heard about anyone either. Watching Formula One, they didn't show girls, so it was hard at the beginning to start into the racing because there was one other girl on like 200 drivers in Uruguay.
Wow. Wow. So, and this sport, of course, outside and over here in the United States, right, and in the world in general, it's one of the most sort of expensive sports, right, in the world. And you went from Uruguay to competing in Europe and many other things right in between. How did you actually, for again for the audience, right, and people interested in the sport, how did you fund that journey, right, and what are the things that you needed to sort of figure out as you go that maybe nobody else tells you, right? You have a background in terms of your family comes from the background, but what would be those things, right, that you would be highlighting the most?
That is a good question because actually starting where I started was like almost pandemic. We had some pandemic, so first a little karting days with my dad with an old chassis that we had an old karting, and then as soon as we started racing, was something not possible for my family to fund. So I started to contact brands. I started for the ones that my family had some kind of background with, because it's always that they know that the family maybe support a female driver. But then it became a little bit easier as the only girl in one category, and I started to show some podiums, and I was starting to show performance and that to say, okay, I'm the only girl in Uruguay racing in this category. I'm doing podiums. Can you help me finish the season? Um, Thanks to my dad that he knows about the marketing world and how to racing as well, and what brands are interested in what in racing, is that I started contacting these companies and having good responses, because it's for someone like first trying, maybe it's more no's than yes, and that happens, and that still happens to me. And is starting to build your brand and showing the process of what you're doing, and also the my story resonated with a lot of people about like, am I too late to start? I'm 25, I'm 26, and or I may be at 15 and I see just 8-year-old drivers and or 5-year olds. Oh, it's to show that if you really work hard for your dreams, it looks like a phrase that everyone will tell you, oh, work hard and this and that. No, but truly, if you demonstrate passion, if you demonstrate that something else, extra hours in what you're doing, and you show that to brands as well, and how we're doing, believe me, they're gonna support someone that is like on the phone, like, I need some help and this and that and this and that, and tomorrow, hey, this is serious. Like, I'm training, I'm doing this, I'm showing results. What I'm doing different from the other one that is just calling one time and maybe this. And sometimes it's annoying, and sometimes you lose possibilities because of that.
Hmm.
But what people now we're missing is that passion for things, the passion of doing it yourself, or showing the hours, because life is so time consuming that the people are showing a little bit extra. It's where they make a gap into the other ones. And that is an advice that I could tell for people that wants to get into motorsport. Not only by racing, you have engineer, mechanics, even girls, like, it's a big spectrum for them to get into racing if you like it. And you don't need to be aware of like the age of how you start and this and that. So there are different possibilities now. And in terms of funding, that's what helped me the before build your brand, start connecting people, show results, show how you're working hard for your results. Sometimes you're working hard for your results and your results doesn't come, but that doesn't mean that you're putting the seeds for when it's going to come,
Hmm.
there is a big examples in the world of sports about the ones who are training as hard as they can, and you see those, maybe they don't have the talent of other other athletes, but you can see their performance, how it's increasing by the age and how their experience in training and this and that. And I feel that this is the same. This is the same, and in terms of partnerships and how you contact brands, there's a lot of time that they're gonna say no, and that you're not gonna get a chance. That maybe you can change something for the next one, but there's always experience. And now motorsport is a world that you need to be good at brand deals, your image, marketing those brands, so you can help the brand not only put a logo on your car or on a karting. It's just on a general basis how they can take advantage. So it's a win-win for both sides, and that's how funding can happen. I think every driver here is struggling to get that funding. If not, if your family doesn't have it, but it builds you different from the other drivers that maybe get a chance because of their family has a chance.
Yeah, definitely. So, and I at the beginning I said, that you weren't necessarily a tech startup founder or nothing, right? But this is very well much like building a
Exactly.
startup for that matter, and having a business, a full blown business, right? You are the product, and your skill set
Mhm.
is the product, right? And everything around is the exact same thing, right? Sales, marketing, partnerships, sponsorships, and that there's a lot of the entrepreneurial side of things in like you said, someone like you that is not just about the skill set, it's about you present yourself, and I think that has changed a lot with not just racing, but a lot of other industries, right? That now with a lot of the technology that there is, right? The competition is so and so high that we're trying to find out, what else can we differentiate, and usually that is the person, who they are, the influence they have, right? Things like that. All in all, right? I really appreciate that, and this show exists, right? Basically because we believe that people who are told they do not belong right in certain rooms are often exactly the ones that actually belong in those rooms. And when you look at the racing world, what do you think it needs to happen structurally for more Latinos to be in the sport, and more women as well, right, to be in the sport, so that both Latinos and women, right, can have a shot at this?
There are now more Latinos into, even you can see in the F1 ladder, the IndyCar ladder, GTs. So I love that to happen. I think it's really good, but I feel that it's something like you asked me before, how we are born into the countries, and the teaching, I don't know, the teaching, the learning that we had with sports. I think we are all very soccer, or how we call it, football orientated, in those countries, because it's like the sport that they first teach you, and the investment of propaganda, and now we can have it with the World Cup. And that is shaping the guys, let's say guys first mindset. I don't want to put guys or girls, but now it's happening more, that it is changing, which is good. And I think it's the same for girls who wants to drive. It's a learning, the teaching that it puts us on. Oh, girls just only can do maybe dancing, or on the sports in school, hockey, handball. I don't know what other sports, and then the guys do rugby or soccer, football, baseball, something like that, And I think that it happens the same with racing, in terms of like, oh, girls are the ones who drive bad, so how you expect a girl like cars, if the first, we are not meant for that. That's the thinking. It's just, I think it's something psychological. That's why I like to show how someone can get into the sport, how to show how many female drivers and how many females mechanics, engineers down there is in racing. Because that doesn't mean that if someone drives bad, that everyone does it. It's the same as you can say that to a soccer player now.
Hmm.
So, to bring more Latinos, also we need opportunity into watching these sports, into supporting this world as a Latino community. Um, what happened with soccer now, the World Cup? Everyone is watching. Everyone is supporting. Everyone is putting their flag. Why we don't do that with other sports as well?
Hmm.
I think that is really important because there are other athletes who are like putting their life into their dream, and it's representing a flag. So I feel like we need to also invest, people that like cars do that the same with the Latin drivers, or even on their own country. Oh, who is trying to, you know, be international? It happens to my country that sometimes being away from the country, they lose sight that where we are. They lose sight of, oh, it's not competing in Uruguay. We don't see her. She doesn't come to the country, or this and that. Not because I want, because I'm studying as well. But it's that she's far away that we lose track of like supporting and this and that. Thank God I have like a good community, and they are the best in supporting and this and that. But sometimes it happens that comments into other athletes. And I heard about other Uruguayan athletes, which which is good that for people in order to support these ones and have more opportunities for those guys to come out, and guys and girls guys coming to the international world to also support by their own country.
Very cool. And so, and right now you're actually in the or about to start the GR Cup, North America.
Yes, we are currently competing the GR Cup North America here with Rafa Racing and Formula Cars. We've been doing good with some podiums also in the female category, and in Formula also we won the last two races. So very very good news into what we're doing this year here in the United States.
Very cool. And what is this, specific, right? What does this season mean to you, and where are you headed? What does that next chapter look for Maite?
So now, the season means that we're like on the first steps to come into the dream that it will be in the 24-hour of Daytona, and then escalate into Le Mans in endurance world, which is 24 hours of racing, three drivers change, and we have to change every like 1 hour and a half, something somehow two. That will be my dream and represent the Latin American community. Actually, I want to be the first female driver to win, and represent our community and my country as well, Uruguay. Which will be a dream. Coming from F1 Academy, obviously, I had the F1 dream. It's very expensive, and we work hard for it, but I still had this dream of being endurance racing. So that's where we want to go.
Very cool, very cool. And just to, talk a little bit of the topic of artificial intelligence, AI, right? What can you tell us in your world? How is AI being applied to the racing world? And are you seeing any, specific trends for the future in this field?
Definitely. AI is taking, I think, every bit of part of racing right now. I can see it in the ways that, for example, we used to do driver coaching, right? You have a coach, which is working on your data. Data is the one that we download from the car, which has like our throttle input, braking, where we are turning, how much, the temperature of the car, of like the engine, and a lot of details more. But now there are programs of AI where you download the data and they tell you a whole report of what are you doing, what are the zones that you're losing time. It's even more detailed than what a coach can tell you. I'm not saying that I use it particularly, but I've seen reports that people send that to me, and I was surprised by how now AI, like I thought they were going to come AI into motorsport, but now I think it's taking a huge step into motorsports. Well, about this detailed data trusted for the driver, but also for mechanics and engineers. You can now put details like how's the temperature, how is the environment temperature, how is the track temperature, the asphalt, and what type of tire you're using, that they will tell you the exact pressure good for that track and specific by the time that you're gonna race, and the hour, and this and that. That those were before calculation that people had to make, and sometimes
Hmm.
they could be mistaken by 1 2 psi, which is a lot, to be mistaken by 1 to 2 psi. And now they'll tell you AI can take you like specifically without making any mistake barely. So even that is what I'm seeing right now, that I work, that I saw. But I'm sure that now into coming into Formula One and bigger category about drive the setup of the car in which track they're gonna tell you. People are starting to play with that. There are gonna be apps about it. So I think it's taking control completely. And now maybe a driver can set up the car, can be their own driver coach with AI, and just drive the car. Yeah.
Right, right. And so if everyone has access to the same technology, right? And technically speaking, everything should be sort of very, very similar. And everyone has access to this exact same information. What makes the difference, do you think, then, in terms of, the competition? Like, is AI making it a lot more competitive than it was before, because now you can get maybe a lot more in depth, right, into that data and understanding.
Um, it's a good question because now that I'm thinking, like, it hasn't been so much, like, so long ago that I've discovered everything that people are showing me this. So
Okay,
I don't know how much other teams are using it right now.
got it.
I
Mhm.
understand that some they are using it, and I don't know F1 level or IndyCar level, 24 hour like Le Mans, WEC. I'm sure they're using it. I don't have a doubt in that. But I don't think motorsport people, are relying on that 100% now.
Mhm.
They can use it for an orientation. That's what I'm thinking about. Um, so I think it will put it more competitive on a way that if people use that tool, if they use the same tool, or the same programs or the same apps, or they're gonna start like being more equal to cars and this and that. But also the driver is the one driving, so that could make the big difference now on, and be more equal. But it's difficult to measure right now how are all the teams using it right now.
Yeah. And so, first of all, thank you for again for being on the show. I really enjoy your history and your passion for this. So young still, right? And so much more to do. Like I said earlier, you're just getting started. But I wanted to see if you could at least give any young Latina out there, right, that maybe she wants to race, maybe she wants to start, her own brand. What comes first? If you're young, how young do you start? I mean, not that a 5 year old is going to be necessarily listening to this, right? But in general, what does that look like to get started? Can you get started at 15? Can you get started at 20? And maybe she just wants to do something people keep telling her that she can't, just like a lot of people told you, right? What do you tell her?
I'll tell her that, put in perspective where you want to go. What's your absolute dream? And then build your career imaginarily. Oh, what I need to do to be here. So you can measure the steps and the small steps that you need to start doing. First of all, if there are people telling you no, if there are barriers like economical, socially, maybe you don't have a racetrack nearby, that could happen also. But that doesn't mean you need to put your arms down and say, okay, it's impossible for me. And because it's not impossible, actually, you you need to start putting the passion into it, the work, because nowadays we have a phone, we have a computer, we have to read, their books to read as well, that people forget about. But you can go and study about racing, even racing or another thing that you want to do. That is maybe in your country there's a career that you cannot study, but you can make things for it to make it happen. work on your scholarship, work on a scholarship for racing, to start mechanical, teaching yourself about racing and working hard. When people will see that you're working hard and you're showing yourself also, maybe to brands or social media, what you're doing to achieve your dream, maybe there's gonna someone that is resonate with your story, that they can make a change. Even me, I see girls that are doing the same as me. They don't have a chance, their parents don't let me. And sometimes I talk to the parents and I say, it's something, if you can do it, why don't let her show what she's capable of, even if it turns into a no. But it's better that, because she knows it, and she doesn't gonna go into 40 years of her life saying, oh, I had this frustrated dream. At least I tried it. It's not for me. But maybe you discover that you like more the racing part of engineer, mechanical, or commercial as well. There's a big whole world into this. So I'll tell you, don't give up. Study a lot, study, know everything. Show up to teams, show up in the track, show that you want to be part, and don't expect anything in exchange of that. Tell them, hey, can I work for you? Can I be on your team? Can I look for what you're doing? Just as I want to learn. Don't expect nothing in terms, because they're going to see how hard you're working to learn and to get to your dream. The, the one time they're going to tell you, why don't you hop on the cart just to do some laps? Maybe they see how hard you're working, and the passion. They're gonna say, I need to give this girl a chance. She worked so hard, she wanted so bad. And maybe that chance is the one that is gonna take you far, and you don't know it yet. Maybe it looks small, but making those little steps will be closer to your dream, even if it changed that dream in between. Like me, you can dream about F1, then maybe the economical reasons changed, but you had other dreams, and now I'm doing. And I think that is special about this, about life, actually, in how you can change, and because you as a person also is evolving. So I think that is important for girls, not to give up, and dream as big as you can, because now the world is on your hands. You have everything for it, so take advantage of it.
Amazing, Maite. Thank you so much. Very powerful. A lot of passion, as everyone can hear from this, and that's probably why you're in the place where you are. So, to everyone listening out there, right? Maite Caceres, she's a racing driver, professional racing driver from Uruguay, born and raised in Uruguay, and making her way basically into the motorsport, right, in general. And there's not many Latinos in this sport, right? Specifically, like we said, not many Latinas. So this is a story of determination. This is a story of passion. I hope you enjoyed it. And Maite, thank you again for being on the show. I hope the audience gets to listen to this and learn a little bit from a lot of that determination that you have. Thank you.
No, thank you, Angel, and also what you teach and what you show. I think it's important. Also, like I tell you, it applies on every field, and that is really good. So thank you for the opportunity to also show in my story.
Thank you, Maite.